Hello everyone, so today for you I've got a review of two seemingly new test scents from Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company within their Destinations collection. Now the Destinations collection most recently tested in late December and into early January 2014. There are 12 or 13 scents and about half of those went wide, and then they added a few scents that they didn't test to the nationwide mix, mostly repackages of past successful scents like your um, Aloha Waikiki, Cheers to Capri, which is limoncello, some American Boardwalk, which is summer boardwalk. So those candles mixed in with 4 or 5 of the test line Destinations collection. But they left a lot of candles on the cutting room floor, so to speak, and they seem to be testing some additional candles as well. So I don't know if that's for a summer release or maybe even a fall Destinations collection. Not really sure. And these could just be that they were only in a few test stores and they kind of are just distributing them out wider, and they may already be considered failed scents. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think they did, at least these did seem to come out significantly later than the original test collection did in test stores. There's even word of another one on top of this. I think something Kona coffee that is or was in a few test stores. I haven't seen it or smelled it. But they've got, who knows what else is sort of out there in the Bath & Body Works world. So I'll do my standard full kind of sniff review and comparison with these ones, and let's dive right in. So first up, so you can see they're actually both Italian-based candles, which is interesting. We've got Magnificent Milan, Passion and Italian Fashion, and then Café Italia, Old World Espresso, which sounds like a familiar old friend. Now, let's look at the candles here. Again, the standard Destinations collection. Now, I think some of the Destinations collection may have had a, in the stamp here, like the postage mark, I think said like Destinations 2014 or something like that. This doesn't have a date, which is interesting. Maybe none of them did. No, actually, I'm looking at another test one and it didn't either, so maybe none of them did. But Magnificent Milan, again, the really pretty embossed sticker lid, your creamy white wax. And then this is an image of Milan, and it just says Passion and Italian Fashion. Now, that's hard because what in the world could it possibly smell like, right? Now the notes are: follow the fashionistas to Italy's most stylish city with a well-designed blend of sage, musk, and a hint of lavender. Make the streets your runway. I swear I can speak runway. So, I mean, based on the notes, I will love it. Sage, lavender, perfect and perfect. Musk can go either way. It can be great or it can be kind of weird. So let's sniff it. Ooh, I've got to say, I love this candle. I really hope it makes it wide. I will say immediately, it does smell like a men's cologne, but not a cheap men's cologne, not an Axe body spray, a more high-end, not your typical boring, heavy, Oriental woods, ambery kind of men's cologne that you might think of when you think of a men's cologne, or like a shaving cream kind of scent or aftershave. It's a really fresh, seductive, I would call it, blend. And when I smelled it, it smelled very familiar to me. And surprise, not surprise, it actually seems like it's probably a repackage of this failed test scent from the Destinations collection from the spring, which was Mad About Madrid, Under the Spanish Moon. So, again, we know that Bath & Body Works likes to call, Paris Daydream sparkling icicles. So, why not make Mad About Madrid Spanish, and then all of a sudden turn it into an Italian candle. This one said dark cedarwood, soft musk, gives way to the perfect hint of Spanish pepper, olé. Now, granted, they're pulling out the notes that seem to work with the label and the idea of Spain, essentially. Whereas in here, they're pulling out notes that are working on Milan and maybe making it a tiny bit more feminine. Obviously, calling it fashionistas. They want women to be more into this candle, where they probably weren't into the Mad About Madrid one when they're calling it cedarwood and Spanish pepper. Now, smelling it, it's hard to say exactly because I did already burn this one. So, the sniff is a little bit different once you've burned it. But, let's see here. It may be a slight reworking, but not a big reworking. When I first reviewed Mad About Madrid, I said that it actually reminded me very, very closely of a cologne that I loved, Dolce & Gabbana's The One, which I don't have the fragrance notes in front of me. Let me try to very quickly multitask here and look it up on my phone. But I do think that sometimes they'll take a popular men's fragrance and kind of try to essentially duplicate it, just because, if it's popular in body, scent fragrance, why wouldn't it be popular in home fragrance if you're looking for something a little bit more unique or high end? Now, Dolce & Gabbana, the one, let's see, that's the women's. Let's find the men's. Oh, goodness. Sorry, gang. Swear I'm not going to take forever. Okay, here we are. Dolce & Gabbana, the one for men. The note or descriptions on this are... Let me get a better view here so we know what I'm talking about. Magnificent Milan. I think it smells almost spot on for this. The notes on this one are grapefruit, coriander, basil, cardamom, ginger, orange blossom, cedar, tobacco, and ambergris. Confident, sexy, refined, elegant, sophisticated, bold, modern, sensual, spicy, oriental fragrance developed on the harmony of tobacco with refined base notes of cardamom, ginger, cedarwood, and citrus spice accord. Classic, modern, vibrant, and engaging. I really get that from Magnificent Milan. Perhaps it is a little bit more feminine just due to the addition of lavender. Makes it a little bit sweeter, a little bit more, not even really floral, just a little kind of a sweetness to it that you don't necessarily have. Kind of like a little bit of a, it's a little bit less intense. I kind of take back what I said before with being a repackage. I think it's a reworking, though, of the same fragrance blend, just kind of fussing with the levels a bit. I love it. I really hope that it works in test stores. I don't know that it will, just because it doesn't have a super strong focus, and I don't know that people will love it. But this is the kind of thing where, Sage and Cedar failed twice in test stores, and then it was released as black tie, and it went wide, and it seemed to be a pretty good seller. So, and now it's even back to a certain extent, I think, in Black Sands, or at least a reworking of it in the Hawaiian Black Sands candle. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. This could, just be testing the blend, and maybe they'll release it in a different collection or different notes or different label, different marketing at some point, who knows. But I really do love it. If you see it, if you come across it, grab it, because it really is a lovely, sort of more of the conceptual high-end fragrances as far as home fragrance goes. It's not, no one's going to smell it and think, oh gosh, that's too heavy. It's not, for the people that don't like the black pepper bergamots or the mahogany teak woods, this is not as intense as that. So that's my little soapbox on that. Then we move on to Café Italia, which, to be honest, I was not excited about at all when I first heard that it was coming, because we've had Espresso Bar, which I really loved, and then we had Harvest Coffee, which was really the same thing, and then we had the Winter Market Collection. We had, Winter Cafe, which was the same thing, again. So we've had 3 versions of Espresso Bar, which, again, it's a great candle, but at some point enough is enough. And then it came back for the semi-annual sale in the Italian collection in January, and it was just, so we've seen it 4 times in the past year, and I was thinking, gosh, why are they even bothering testing it in this Destinations collection? So really pretty, kind of like wrought iron, reminds me of the Villa Bergamot label kind of lid there, and this is Café Italia Old World Espresso. Notes on this one are: immerse yourself in Italy's coffee culture with an impressive blend of rich Italian roasted coffee beans and the perfect dash of vanilla cream. Grazie for espresso. Now, really, you would think it's going to be Espresso Bar, because Italian roasted coffee, vanilla cream. I've got an Espresso Bar here that's half burned, and that is Italy, of course. Roasted espresso beans and sweet vanilla froth that inspired this fragrance. Okay, so let's sniff it and see if it's the same. I don't know how they did it. It's a completely different candle, and I love it. And I think you guys would all love it too. The people who didn't love Espresso Bar because it was too coffee or too espresso centric, I think this sweetens it up, tones down the espresso beans, but still is true to the name of it still being a coffee candle. Bath and Body Works is famous for having, pumpkin caramel latte that they never even bother putting espresso or latte in the description anymore because there's none in it. It's just a sweet, frothy caramel beverage sort of drink. And even Café au lait really didn't have much of a coffee note to it, if any, from the French collection a few years back. Sorry, I forgot my point there. But this really is... Oh man, it's really great. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Anyhow, Cafe Italia, it's not espresso bar, which is shocking. Espresso bar is much more of a pure espresso bean, like, crushed espresso bean, and you've got the vanilla froth, but it's not super heavy on the vanilla. It's not, again, it's not cream. Cream versus froth. They could be the same thing, but I do think in this instance there is a difference. Whereas vanilla froth is just a light sort of vanilla in the espresso bar. Whereas in Cafe Italia, there is a good hit of kind of the vanilla cream, and it really sweetens it up. It's almost more like if espresso bar is, espresso with, frothy milk on top. Cafe Italia is coffee with, I'd say, I guess like a heavy cream, half and half, or even say like a sweetened condensed milk. I would almost say. I know in some countries in South America and in Central America, they use sweetened condensed milk, from the can, to sweeten and dairyfy their coffee or espresso, and that's kind of what this reminds me of, actually. So you've got, let me get a sip on the actual candle here, just so I'm getting it all, everything. Yeah, it's definitely, when I smell the candle versus the lid, it's lighter in the coffee espresso note than espresso bar. If there was anyone who hated espresso bar, I know one person, I think MC on my facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice discussion page mentioned that she smelled it and she didn't like it because it was so similar to espresso bar. So if you're someone who hated espresso bar, you may not like Cafe Italia. But if you just didn't love it because it was a little too strong on the espresso for you, I think you would love this. Any of the sweeties out there that like more sweet, the pumpkin caramel latte lovers, or even the creamy pumpkin lovers, or any of the sweet kind of fall, leaning more towards the ooey gooey kind of fragrances, those folks I think would love Cafe Italia. I want to get a little more in depth with the notes because it really is interesting to me how similar they are while being very different. It's kind of strange. Where, yeah, this is more like hot coffee than espresso. Even though they say old world espresso, I do get more of a coffee, a brewed coffee, as opposed to a coffee bean mixed with like a sweetened condensed milk, because it's creamy but not overly milky, and it's sweet but not sugary. And then there's something in here that is just amazing. I don't know what it is. It's almost like a spice. A very, very light, I'd almost maybe even say a nutmeg, similar to what's in the creamy nutmeg. The tiniest bit. Now, they called Winter Vanilla Latte came out in the Winter Market Collection, and it was just a repackage of creamy nutmeg from 3 or 4 years ago. That's not at all what this leans to, but there's just the hint of something, of a spice that it almost reminds me of a fall candle, like if they were to do truly the real version of like a pumpkin caramel latte. I would almost see this being a little bit more authentic to that. If they made it sweeter and they threw in, more of the caramel, because this has no caramel, this would almost be more like a pumpkin caramel latte to me than the actual pumpkin caramel latte candle. So I could totally see this coming out in the fall. I'm not sure what the name would be, but it could absolutely be, they could throw a little caramel note in there too and call it, a dulce de leche latte or something. It's just, yeah, there's a little tiny bit of freshness to it. I know I'm like taking too much time just talking about this candle, but I really love it. I haven't burned it yet. I'm hoping that it will be similar in throw to espresso bar when I light it up, but I just really love it. I do still like espresso bar a lot. I think, on a Saturday morning waking up, lighting espresso bar is just perfect for me because it throws that strong espresso bean scent throughout the room. But Cafe Italia is a really nice blend. I think it's a good mix between the people who want just a sweet, milky kind of drink and the people who do still want the authentic coffee or espresso fragrance in it. So for me, that's a huge, huge winner, and I'd love to see it go wide. But whether that'll happen or not is your guess is as good as mine. So that covers these two candles. Again, our trip to Italy with these destinations test scents. I hope that they both make it wide. I really love both of them, but time will certainly tell on that one. If you have any questions, hit me up below, or let's always continue the conversation on my Facebook page at facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice. And until next time, take care.